I thank you guys for the opportunity. My name is Jesse Hooks, but everyone knows me as Jay most of the time. I am a lifelong Pell City resident, have attended school in Pell City. I actually have 4 daughters who have all attended Pell City. 2 of them are graduates. One of them is current, or 2 of them still attend. One of them will be a junior at Pell City High School, and one an 8th grader at Durand Junior High. I am starting my 27th year in education, and I have my bachelor's degree from UAB, master's degree in instructional leadership from the University of Alabama, and my educational specialist degree from Auburn University. So I have went to the 3 major colleges here in the state, but I'm, like I said, a lifelong resident of Pell City, and my daughters are actually 5th generation Pell City students. So we have a lot of vesting in the community and what happens with our school system.
Please describe the role of a local school board member as you understand. Why are you the best person to fill this position?
I feel like the role of a school board member, number one, is to provide a support for the superintendent, for the employees, and for the community as a whole. Our role is to hire the superintendent and the CFO, and outside of that, it is to help the superintendent make policy, procedure, and follow his recommendations. But we are also to be a liaison with the community. Whether you're an appointed or an elected school board member, I feel like it's your job to know how the community feels about the school system and make sure that you are providing an active listening ear to the community, because that's your role. That's how our community feels a part of the system, is through the school board members. I also, in my role as a school principal, I often tell people my role is to remove obstacles to teachers being able to do their job, because teachers are the experts in their classrooms. And I believe as a school board, our job would be to remove obstacles that prevent the superintendent or teachers from doing their job as well. And you do that through policy and procedures that you put in place. Why do I feel like I am the best candidate for the job? Number one, like I've said, I'm invested in the community. My kids go here. I've been here, 5th generation, my kids. I will say it is because of this school system that I have, been able to be where I'm at today. I received what I felt was a top-notch education, and my teachers' influence in my life, along with the help of my parents and the good Lord, is why I'm where I'm at today, coming from a home of 2 Avondale textile workers. I feel like I've really been blessed with the opportunities I've been provided, and I thank those, I thank the school system and my teachers for what they poured into me, allowing me this opportunity. On top of that, I feel like my experience in education, I have a wide variety of experience. I have worked in just about every level of education. I have been a instructional aide, actually here in Pell City for 2 years, back in the late 90s, as well as a substitute bus driver. So I have worked that end of things. I was a teacher and a coach before I got into administration. I've been an assistant principal, and now I am entering my 15th year of being a principal. I've also been a principal at all 3 levels. I've done both, or all 3 of elementary, middle, and high school. So I feel like all these things kind of give me some insight into what goes on in schools. And though your job on the board is not to run the school system, it still gives me the knowledge and the ideas of what is needed to support the superintendent as he is trying to do what's best for our children and our community.
What are the most significant issues our school district is currently facing? How would you propose the district address these challenges?
Well, I'll first say I think our school system has come a long way in several places, especially recently. I believe with our capital improvement projects that we have in place and those improvements we've made over the past few years, I think those have come a long way to improving the system. So I applaud the system for what we've done there. And I do feel like we are making some strides when it comes to career tech, which, I believe are keys to a successful high school experience, because again, our job is to prepare our students for life after high school. And whether that be going into the workforce here in the community or whether that be going to college, I think the big focus recently is career tech. And I think that is key to moving our system forward. I do think some of the issues that we need to look at is that aspect of culture, of that positive culture that I've heard talked about a good bit. I often tell my students, believe it or not, 7th and 8th graders sometimes get into a lot of drama, and I tell them often that, one person's perception, it can be different from your perception, but I said, oftentimes our perception is reality to that other person. So oftentimes the perception of our school system is the reality to our public, to our community. And I think we have to make sure we do a good job of communicating what our school system is doing and being transparent and open about those things and how we're progressing. Another issue, I think, and I don't think this is specific to Pell City. I think this is, far reaching, is resilience is an issue within our children, which leads to issues with mental health. And I think we have to find ways to address resilience and mental health within our schools. There was a time when those things were taken care of most often at home, but we've reached a point now in society where, we have to find ways to address that through our school system. And just seeing that children struggle so much with being resilient, I think that's an issue across the board that we have to address. But I would say those are the driving things that I see. And this will kind of come back up with the report card question, but I do think attendance is a major issue across the board. Again, that's not just a Pell City issue. It's finding ways to get kids to want to come to school. And so I think that's an issue that has to be addressed as well, that not just us, but every system has to come up with ways to address attendance issues.
The Alabama State Department of Education scored Pell City schools 80 in 2022, an 81 in 2023, and an 83 in 2024. What are your thoughts on this trend, and the trajectory of the school system overall?
I think it's definitely a positive trend, and that we see that increase that comes in year after year. When looking at our report card, now, I will say this, and I say this in my current position that I'm in with the school system is, oftentimes that just kind of gives a snapshot of where our school is at that time. But I believe what our schools are doing is more than just a report card grade. However, that report card grade is a requirement through the legislature, and it is how the public understands how we're progressing as a school system. But I say that to say when I look at our scores for Pell City schools, the two main areas I see that we could really push growth in that report card score are attendance, which we've talked about a little bit, but also in our CCR percentage, which I think when I looked, it was around 82% on this last report card. So I think those are two areas that we can push growth in. And one of the things that I think is important when it comes to the CCR number, for example, is a lot of the things that check the box of a college and career ready student for that CCR number all will capture your same kids when it comes to the ACT scores and the dual enrollment classes and AP. But I think the way you capture those other kids is you do so through your career tech, through your completer status, and those kind of things. And so, that's one of the things that I would like to see us push more is, towards a more robust career tech program. Now, we've come a long way, I think, in the things that we offer, but I would like to see us, and the idea of the strategic plan has been brought up, and I think that's really important. And within that strategic plan, I think addressing, career tech and a career academy, these pathways, is how we can help push that CCR number further north to improve that report card score. And when it comes to attendance and improving the attendance, I do believe that the culture of your school, creating that positive culture, does help, and studies show that when you can create that, it does improve your student outcomes. And I think if you look at our report cards as a system, our elementary schools are doing a great job. And I will say this for our high school, for example, it's really hard in proficiency when you're basically that proficiency number is judged off of one test and one grade level, which is the ACT. So that makes it a little more challenging, especially when you have more and more kids that are not really focused on ACT because they're looking at career. So the ACT is not important to them. So I think that presents a challenge when it comes to the proficiency for your high school levels. And that's why you really, if you can focus on the attendance and you can focus on the CCR numbers, I think you'll see some improvement in that area. I do think also that with some stability, I think we will see those numbers improve as well. I do feel like, going back to some challenges that we face, I think we've had some stability issues when it comes to the high school, and that we've had so much turnover in leadership the past 5 or 6 years. I think my daughters went through like 4 to 5 administrators, the ones that have graduated during that time at the high school. So I think if we get some stability in place, that's going to help as well. But that's what I would say about our report card score.
At this time, do we have any follow-up questions from any of the community?
I do. On a quick side note, what does CCR stand for?
It's the college and career ready standard. So it's the students have to meet a set indicator. Basically, they either have to get a benchmark score on a part of the ACT, take a dual enrollment class. They can get a credential through career tech, such as a CNA or something to that effect.
What school are you a principal at?
Currently, I'm at Ohatchee High School. I've been there for a year now. I worked in Talladega County for 23 years before.
You've had a lot of experience teachers being principals, so I know the difference in bad teachers.
Yes.
What do good teachers look for? Why do we have good teachers that live in Bell City but drive to, the hospital or truck to teach? And what can a board member do, a Board of Education member do to attract and retain good teachers?
Well, I think number one, to answer the board member question, I think that's working as a team, and that is collaborating with your superintendent and collaborating with your city to create. It comes to that culture idea. It's creating that positive culture, which then creates positive morale on the part. There are a lot of things I think that can play into why teachers might travel. But one of the things I do think teachers look for is they want to be somewhere where, number one, they feel supported. And that's not only from their local school administration, that's from the central office level as well as the board level. So they're looking for that support where they can feel that. They also want to be somewhere
Give me
there.
an example of that.
Okay. All right. Well, whether it is one of the things that I think often about is just that they're listened to, that they're given the opportunity to share their ideas and share, things the ideas that they have for their school and how that can improve the system. Because when they feel that tie to the school, when they feel that connection, it goes a long way. And I think also sometimes when we make decisions with the right mindset and for the right reasons, but we often don't communicate those reasons. And so that often gives the feeling of not being supported. So whether it's, something that happens with a child and, you don't share the reason that child is still around, whereas the teacher feels like they shouldn't be, those type of things. I think being a little open or more open with your communication goes a long way to helping teachers. But again, I think it also comes back to that creating that environment where teachers feel like they're heard, they're listened to. And you can listen to a teacher, you can provide that active listening with knowing going in that there's a possibility y'all aren't going to agree. And, I've had conversations with teachers before where I say that, we wrap up the conversation like, well, we never reached an agreement, but at least they felt heard. And so I think those things play into it, but I think there's a lot of things that play into teachers' decisions on where they work. But I think you have to do everything you can to, number one, for the perception, because I've heard it mentioned tonight that there is a negative perception sometimes in the community, and I think you have to work on that. And with the things that you do and the way you communicate and with
good school attract good teachers.
I agree. Yes, sir. And one of the things that I think I mentioned in my application is I think we have the things in place to be a destination for teachers, to be the system that they want to go to. And that is my goal as a board member would be to work with the superintendent to make our system be like the destination. We're not the stepping ground where we're waiting for our next big step. We're the destination. We're where we've got the things in place in our city with our industrial growth, with our economic growth. We've got the recreational facilities. We continue to see those things growing, but I think we can do some things and put some things in place that help us grow as a system to become that destination.
Got a question. That was the best thing I've heard, is that you wanted it to be a destination, a place for education, rather than a stepping stone.
Yes.
One thing you said on your application is you would like to see the school systems. The school system's culture is crucial.
Yes.
How do you make that culture successful? How do you create a great culture?
Well, I think it takes, number one, a lot of teamwork, and it takes the willingness to share leadership sometimes, and it comes back to being heard. And you have to, whether they're a student or a teacher or a parent or a community member, you have to make the time to hear them and to hear what the issues that they have. And I think that is really important. Is that we find ways to do that, and that improves your culture. Also, sometimes, and this is not directed at Pell City because I haven't been in the trenches in Pell City, but I think sometimes, we'll include parents or we'll include teachers on a committee to say they were included, but we really don't listen to what they have to say and to what they want out of their school system. And I think we have to work to get beyond that as school leaders to improve that school culture.
Thank you so much for your time and dedication to Pell City Schools. This concludes your interview.
Thank you.